How's it going, everyone, and welcome back to Character Files, the series where we take a look at prominent characters in video games and do a little digging on their profiles. On the last episode, we delved into the files of the character Chameleon and Chameleon from the Mortal Kombat series, and due to how well that video was received and the results that you all voted on for the last poll, today we'll be looking into another character from the Mortal Kombat roster. However, this character is not only just forgotten, he is also underappreciated and underutilized. Today, we'll be looking into the story of a man blind by naivety and spending the entirety of his life chasing a goal only to be manipulated and deceived by the end of it. This is the story of Mortal Kombat's misguided soul, Shujinko. So sit back and relax as we dig deep into the character files. When Shujinko was a young boy, he was a member of the White Lotus Society, the same society that characters Liu Kang and Kung Lao were members of and trained under their teacher, Bo Raicho. Shujinko would often hear stories of the atrocities committed in Earthrealm by the sorcerer Shang Tsung, who he vowed to defeat. One day while venturing about within the city, young Shujinko would be greeted by an entity of light that claimed to be an emissary of the Elder Gods known as Damashi. Damashi explained to Shujinko that he had been chosen by the Elder Gods to become their champion, and that he must set out on a quest across the realms to gather 6 medallions called Kami Dogu, and that they deemed necessary to vanquish an impending doom that threatened the realms. Upon acceptance of his new destiny, Damashi granted Shujinko the ability to instantaneously copy the fighting style of any fighter that he came across, as a way to help aid him in his journey. Eventually, Shujinko would learn the skills of cryomancy from the Lin Kuei clan, and obtained his first Kamidogu from Earthrealm. Afterwards, he would make way to the Netherrealm, where he would find himself in the middle of a feud between Ermac and Ashra, 2 enemies sworn to defeat one another for their own purposes.
Were I to defeat the powerful demon Ermac, however, I would surely ascend from this place much sooner.
After Shujinko was able to bring the 2 rivals face to face, they fought and he was awarded with the Netherrealm Kamidogu that had seemed to be in the possession of Ashra, but she had dropped it in the midst of her scuffle.
And more you shall receive!
Shujinko would then spend many decades of his life traveling the realms and learning the fighting styles of many different fighters he encountered, all of which were fighters that have appeared as playable combatants in previous Mortal Kombat games, as well as a couple newly introduced characters. However, it wasn't until Shujinko would stumble across Hotaru, a general from the Order realm who Shujinko had allied himself with earlier during his quest, that would imprison Shujinko for breaking curfew and have him sitting in a holding cell for decades, awaiting to be heard by a judge.
Ignorance is not an excuse. I am placing you under arrest for disregarding the laws of this city. Your trial will take place in the realm of order.
It was here that not only Shujinko's quest to gather the Kamidogu be halted, but he would ultimately lose many years from his life, entering prison as a young man and being released as an elderly man. Due to Shujinko being imprisoned, Damashi ordered a mercenary named Dairu to free Shujinko and have him continue his quest for the Kamidogu.
These were the guards I was sent to dispose of? Pfah! Surely you could have slain them yourself.
Why have you killed them? Who are you?
I am Dairu. An associate of yours was concerned that certain obligations you have to him are not being met. I was contracted to remove any obstacles you might be facing.
Damashi, I cannot believe that he would instruct you to kill these men in order to free me.
Not instructed, paid. Mercenaries do not work for free. This Damashi offered me generous compensation to free you. Do not be so sure of your chances with the judge. I was once a soldier among their ranks until I was unjustly imprisoned. You would have been incarcerated for decades for this seemingly minor charge, I assure you.
I cannot say that I approve of your actions, but I suppose a certain amount of gratitude is in order, Dairu.
There is one other matter. I am to give you this key to the courtroom door. I took it from one of the guards. I will leave you now, but if you ever have need of my services, search for me in the realm of order.
Eventually, Shujinko would gather all 6 Kamidogu and gather them together in the Nexus, where it would be revealed to him that the Dragon King Onaga had been resurrected due to the events that had conspired during the game Deadly Alliance. And it also turned out that the Elder God's emissary Damashi had actually been a projection of Onaga's consciousness, and that the entire time Shujinko had believed he was aiding the Elder Gods in their attempt to defeat an impending doom.
Shujinko, please save me. Oh, fool, Damashi. Tamashi does not exist. The avatar you see before you is merely a projection of my consciousness. I manipulated this astral puppet from beyond the boundaries of death, and in turn, manipulated you. I deceived you into bringing me the means of attaining ultimate mastery over reality.
So it seems that I have indeed known you all these years. Then by what name shall I call you now? Tell me who you really are, demon.
I am Onaga, the Dragon King of Outworld and soon-to-be ruler of all that exists. I must thank you for bringing me so much power. The Kamidogu are mine.
You may have them. They do nothing. You have wasted your time. Nothing happened when I placed them all on the altar.
Not all. If you had found the last piece, the altar would have transported them to the Elder Gods. But the last piece is currently in Outworld in the possession of a fool sorcerer. I will deal with him later. For now, I will take these artifacts you have so dutifully collected for me. I am afraid they will not make it into the hands of the Elder Gods after all. And so, Shujinko, your quest is done. Prepare for death.
He had actually been the one to help aid this impending doom, gather the strength needed to take control of all the realms. Onaga then threatens to kill Shujinko for denying his offer to help aid him in his conquest, but Shujinko escapes through a portal, saving his life but ultimately left feeling foolish. Shujinko had unknowingly spent the entirety of his life chasing a quest that would result in the destruction of all things. Dismayed and deceived, Shujinko vowed to use the strength that he had gathered over the course of his life and use it to defeat the Dragon King. I should mention now that Mortal Kombat Deception's Conquest mode ends here, sort of on a cliffhanger on what happens next, and if Shujinko ever defeats Onaga. It is, however, expanded upon when you play Shujinko and achieve his arcade ladder ending, during of which Shujinko uses the gift that Onaga himself had given him and gathers all the combatants together and absorbs their fighting power. Shujinko then uses his power to shatter all 6 of the Kamidogu, which had rendered Onaga invulnerable. Weakening Onaga, Shujinko attacks him and successfully defeats him, not only saving all the realms from utter destruction, but also avenging himself from the years of his life that he had wasted.
Aware that they were bringing about their own destruction by serving him, I united them, and in one moment absorbed their combined fighting power. I shattered each of the Kamidogu, the source of his invulnerability. This weakened Onaga, and I attacked him without mercy. His mortal form was no match for a combatant infused with the powers of so many warriors. The Dragon King was finally defeated.
You would think after coming full circle and completing his lifelong quest, the rest of Shujinko's life would go smoothly. However, this is not the case. Shujinko would make an appearance in Mortal Kombat Armageddon's Conquest mode as a captive locked away in a cell in Outworld. He would further explain to Taven that he had once again been deceived, but this time by Melina, who had been posing as her sister Katana, and she had lured him to Outworld. But Shujinko would also add that he had allowed himself to be captured and imprisoned as a tactical plan to get closer to his enemies, Shao Kahn and his allies, including Onaga, so that he could defeat them all in one fell swoop. Taven would proceed to free Shujinko from bondage, only to part ways and never be seen again for the rest of the story.
Not only will I defeat him, but a host of his allies. They are in his chamber now, plotting some coming battle. I allowed myself to be captured. From this dungeon, I can enter Shao Kahn's soul chamber. Once there, I will be able to destroy Shao Kahn and all his allies in one stroke. I suggest you leave quickly, Taven, for I cannot guarantee your safety.
My safety? I just defeated this entire... foolish old man.
If you were to defeat Blaze using Shujinko, you would be granted a cutscene that would explain that upon absorbing the energy of Blaze, Shujinko would possess the powers and abilities of everyone, causing him to go mad with power. He would then use this newfound power and slay everyone that stood before him, and would embark on a new quest to challenge the Elder Gods for control of the realms.
Now possessed the powers and abilities of them all. Shujinko went mad with power. After slaying all present, he embarked on a new quest. He would challenge the Elder Gods for control of the realms.
However, as we all know, this ending would not be canon, and that it was Shao Kahn that was the one that had defeated Blaze, and would bring about Armageddon. which would cause Raiden to send a message to his past self, warning of the events to come, causing a change in the events of the timeline. As for Shujinko in this new timeline, he is only ever mentioned via voice lines between characters.
Ever meet Master Shujinko? Once, at the Wuxi. He taught me technique even you cannot beat.
Master Shujinko taught me well. In my timeline, I trained him. That is a paradox.
In a small role in the MKX comic book that is no longer considered canon. However, Shujinko does make an appearance in Cassie Cage's MKX arcade ladder ending, where she is given a quest by Raiden to defeat a soul stealer that he had believed to be a reincarnation of Shang Tsung. Upon tracking down the supposed soul stealer, Cassie proceeds to give him the beatdown of a lifetime, and before he could take his last breath, she asks him what his name was, and he tells her that his name is Shujinko, and that he was not in fact Shang Tsung.
As the old man lay dying before her, Cassie asked his name. With a mixture of sadness and relief, he whispered, Shujinko.
Now that we have a brief overview of Shujinko's story thus far, let us take a look at his appearance and abilities. As was mentioned before, Shujinko is seen through the 3 stages of his life as the story of Mortal Kombat Deception goes on. First, we see him as a young boy training with Bo Raicho, then as an adult, possibly in his mid to late 20s, and then from the end of Deception to his appearance in Armageddon as an old man with an epic kung fu master beard. As for abilities, Shujinko has practically every ability in Mortal Kombat as long as he comes across the person that has said ability, essentially making Shujinko a crazy, overpowered character. However, it is unclear if Shujinko could copy the abilities of characters such as Kronika, Geras, or even Onaga himself. But given that it seems his power has no limits, as one was not specified as it was bestowed upon him, it can be concluded that he has the potential to even obtain their abilities as well. Even though they aren't a main feature in current Mortal Kombat entries, Shujinko used the Mantis and Shaolin fist fighting styles that had previously belonged to Kung Lao in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, but considering that Bo Raicho had trained Kung Lao and Shujinko, including Liu Kang in the 3D era timeline, it would make sense as to why he would use these styles as well. Would you like to see Shujinko make a return in the new Mortal Kombat 1 timeline? Or is there another character you would prefer to make an appearance instead? Make sure to let me know in the comment section down below, and don't forget to head over to the community tab and place your vote on who or what should be the center focus on the next Character Files episode. As always, don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.
Talking on the phone, wind blowing hard, all the windows closed. Turquoise sheets, pink pillows. Motel 6, that's room 24. Meet you in the morning, meet me here tonight. Vibrating bed, gotta say it alright. Black marble sink, gold in the faucet. Fresh bar soap, mini shampoo bottles. Playing some Atari, she blowing on my cartridge. Room service knocking, I can hear him at the door. Do not disturb. Hanging